It's that time again, guys. Let's get ready to do some game hunting. Alright guys, we're going to start off with the PC Engine selection here. And right away you can see a nice wall. They update a few games here and there, like Princess Maker is here today, 2 copies of that, and we also have Eldis. Now this is the first I've seen this in here. I don't know much about it. I can tell from the back that it is a shoot 'em up, but other than that, I'm pretty clueless, so let's take a look. Eldis is a shoot 'em up put out by Messiah back in 1991 for the PC Engine. The story seems to be about 2 kids enjoying their time by spraying graffiti everywhere when suddenly one is abducted. And you guessed it, you set out to find them. The graphics aren't bad and the music does well. It almost gives me a Parodius vibe, and Parodius is always a good time. Here we have Wizardry, Ease 1 and 2, and looks like 3 behind it. If you don't know this game, you should look at my previous videos. I go over that game. And here we have Fighting Street. This is the original Street Fighter. It's not that great, that's why many people have not played it. We all know Street Fighter 2 all too well. We have a red N64, purple, some generic blacks. A couple of them come with controllers, are running around $60, 6,000 yen. Small N64 collection, but they do have the Mario parties and they're much cheaper than the American versions. Much cheaper. Paper Mario, Super Mario 64. Here we have a Jackie Chan game that I decided to snatch up because I love Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu came out in 1990 for the NES and Famicom, and it always amazes me how many things Jackie Chan is actually involved in. Anyway, this game is an action platformer about Jackie Chan on the adventure to save his sister. You'll traverse 5 different levels, each with its own boss. The music and animation is actually really good, and a lot of sound effects sound very familiar. Here we have a few Famicom games behind the glass: Holy Diver, Lickle, Rockman, and there's a couple big hitters, but we've also have a couple figurines, Star Wars, Star Trek. They get a little bit of everything at this store. Every now and then I'll buy a figurine here and there, but for the most part I try my best to stick to just video games. But still I'll come through here and look for things, any kind of like video game related figures. There's a couple cool Optimus Primes in here. They have a few different versions, old and new, but they can get pretty pricey. Transformers, they're not a joke here when it comes to figures. Over here we've got a few Marvel, Avengers. There's a Gauntlet. I guess it comes with all the Infinity Stones on it as well. They don't have it out of its case. I wish they had displayed it. Some random anime figures. Usually there's a little bit of Final Fantasy figures over here in this case, but they like to switch things up and move things around. So, I mean, to keep it fresh, keep it new. I love all the different types of figures they have. Not just the newer animes, they have the older animes. A lot of different figures that I'm not familiar with, so I'll look them up and see what I can find out about them, and that leads me to watching a new show, maybe that was based back as early as the 80s, you know. And it's really cool animation that they had back then. Right here you have a lot of the more technical models. Here's the soundtrack section. I always try to scope this out. It's Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10-2, Final Fantasy, the original motion picture soundtrack, which was a horrible movie. But nonetheless, they do have soundtracks for that. A couple anime soundtracks. Here's a Romancing Saga 3 for the game. You never know what you're going to find in here. Normally I'll pick up a few Zelda. Here's, I'm not quite sure what this is, the history of Super Mario or the Famicom. It lists the games on the back, but I can't read the kanji. We've got some Zelda music. I love the look of the front cover of these. The Master Sword. Here you've got a Luigi CD. I'm not sure what that's about, but I didn't want to risk spending money on something that I didn't know much about. Final Fantasy 8, I love the soundtrack to that. Probably because it was my first Final Fantasy, so it's a lot of nostalgia for me there. Here we've got a few more anime figures. These are really cool ones. I love the artwork that they do for the display cases. Some Sword Art Online. I need to catch up and get more current on that. A lot of anime girl figures from animes I'm not too familiar with. But nonetheless, they look pretty cool. And here we have the Nintendo Switch selection. Quite a few games to look at here. Right here you can see that Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the collection, is still out on the shelf here in Japan. We had Cotton over there, a couple Kirby games, Pokemon. It amazes me how many games are out now for the Switch compared to when it first released. Awesome artwork for the Switch display. I love the artwork they do. A couple Wii games, some DS and 3DS games. Here's a Cotton, like, special edition box for the Switch. Looks really cool. Some Ring Fit there at the bottom. I've always wondered how Ring Fit is. If it actually works you out. Let me know if it actually works. Looks like a Monster Hunter. And Bayonetta. And of course, Splatoon. Splatoon is huge over here in Japan. A couple little figures there for Animal Crossing. And we have the PS Vita and PSP collection, as well as the DS collection. Some Wii U's. And over here we pass the PS Vita games and PS3 titles, and a wall of random Mega Drive games. Got Sonic, Phantasy Star, and of course the good stuff in the case. We have a top loader over there, and this is the black backwards compatible developer kit PlayStation 1. I forget the name, exact name for the black version of it. There's a Mega Drive as well. And a Super Famicom box in the back. But the black PlayStation, they wanted around $500 for it. I was so tempted to pick it up. It looks so nice, but it doesn't come with a box or anything. But the thing I love about those PlayStation 1s is that they are region free. I said backwards, what did I say, backwards compatible earlier? My mistake. I meant to say region free. Some Super Famicom games down here. We got Sailor Moon. Home Alone. A couple interesting titles here that I'm not too familiar with. Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Mother. Gunnak. Rock Band. Another Gunnak. Terminator. There's quite a few big hitters in here. Down here we have some PC Engine games, Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy games, more advanced games, original Game Boy. Every now and then I'll pick up some original Game Boy games, but my advanced collection is really lacking. PS2 games for days here. Super Famicom, walls of them. They have like 4 or 5 walls here of nothing but Famicom games, which is pretty awesome. Space Invaders, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World. Sometimes down here at the bottom of the shelf they'll have different consoles. But these are mostly the cheap consoles down there at the bottom today. The cheap consoles that play like NES and Super Famicom all in ones. Kind of like a Retron, but much cheaper. Some Rockman titles for the PS2. I believe Rockman Mission. Some PS1 games. I try to stick to fighting games when it comes to PS1, just so I don't have to worry about reading kanji. There's some Famicom games. You got Dragon Ball Z. Parodius, I love that game. Burger Time. I love the different color carts and the different style carts the Famicom had in comparison to the NES standard gray carts. Look at all the colors they have. Black, blue, purple, pink, white, yellow, orange, green, sometimes transparent cartridges like Salamander. Got some Tekken games for the PlayStation 1. Some Metal Slug. Final Fantasies. This is the Final Fantasy collection. It's just Final Fantasy 7, I believe. I already have this, but I still like checking them out and maybe getting a label upgrade. Some cool Rockman games on the PS1 are down here. They're more pricey in the States, but here they're very much affordable. We've got a boxed N64 here, generic. Couple more PC Engine games. Back to the PC Engine wall, where it all began. I always like to double check, triple check the PC Engine games because that's my main focus here lately. About the last year I've been focusing, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, been focusing on PC Engine stuff. I don't know why, I just find the PC Engine more interesting than most titles nowadays. We got some Xbox 360s, there's some random discs packed in over here for cheap. I have no idea what's in the middle. Look, there's a Warcraft 2 for the PlayStation. That's pretty interesting. But I have no idea how many discs are in here. It's like 10, 15 discs. But who knows what's in the middle. Probably a bunch of sports games, right? Some N64 controllers, Sega Saturn controllers. A lot of Xbox titles. 360, GameCube. I've got a decent GameCube collection, but it could definitely use some beefing up. I think I missed out on the whole GameCube period back in the day. Super Mario Sunshine. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. I definitely need to play more GameCube games. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I will be going on a short break for a month or two as I am in the middle of a move back to the United States. I'm excited to make the move and have the changes, and I'm excited to get back to making videos once it's all over with. So, I'll catch you next time.